Greetings, everybody! Welcome to the Dracovin Empire! Are you ready to dive back into the world of Athas once more? The world Dark Sun. The desert wastes await us, southern wastes in particular. And if you're ready to travel to them, to see the endless, nothing, the dead, grab my hand. I, your host and guide, can open a gate to Athas, through the multiverse. This way. Grab my hand. Remember to like, subscribe, ring the bell. Leave a little bit of tip for me. And a tip for you. We're traveling to Athas once more. We've arrived at Dark Sun. The world of Dark Sun. Well, the Southern Wastes, if I was looking into more about them, there are a number of sources, and I can point out two in particular. Of course, there is the campaign settings book, and of course the box set from 2nd edition. It does give you some ideas of the Southern Wastes. There are other small sources here and there, but these are the two main ones I would recommend. One from 2nd edition, one from 4th edition. What are the Southern Wastes? Where are the Southern Wastes? What do we know about the Southern Wastes? Very good questions that are answered by it is nothing. Basically, the Tyr Region has the Ringing Mountains to the west, the Sea of Silt to the east. The south, it's nothing. It's desert. It's a waste. You travel from these shores, the estuary of the Fort Tongue. The outposts, the villages disappear. There's a few nomads for a little while. But even beyond those nomads, silent, empty lands, no one knows. And even some of the vicious predators that haunt the regions of the Tablelands, the Ivory Triangle, the Tyr lands, and all those. Even more there too. Even they are not crazy to go this far. They're a desolate expanse that this could be the rest of the world. No one knows for sure. There are no verdant areas, no oases, at least not large enough to support a city. So it doesn't mean you couldn't find a little bit of water here or there. Just far and few between. And this place takes on an elemental character the one farther south you go. It is seen that, similar to the Sea of Silt, is an incursion of elemental power into the world. The Southern Wastes are home to sort of its own approach. Mazes of wind-carved canyons, plants, plains of smoking ash, forests of stone columns that drift with gusts, rivers of fire, seas of salt, and more. There could be other populated lands of the Tyr Region, somewhere else, beyond these terrible wastes. Or not. No one can know for sure. No one can survive for sure. Let alone get there and come back. That is the Southern Wastes. It's not to say that there aren't people that live in that area. There are those that worship the elements of these areas. Some of them being a little bit darker than others, seeing perhaps that the sand itself needs blood sacrifice to appease some dark force. Or maybe just to deal with their strange elements. And of course, there are some nomads. The Tawar Dervish live on the edge of some of these lands. Nomads that have learned to live on the border of nothing, on the edge of reality, where things are much more difficult. The wastes. They're down at the bottom. You can see where the Tyr Region ends and the wastes begin down below. All those areas. There are different areas, different colors, the black, the white, the desert, sand color. I'll tell you what. Like the Tyr Region, and like its deserts, the Southern Wastes are a graveyard of ancient ruins. Ruins dot this expanse and seem to grow older the farther ones travel south. There are those sages that will claim that the Tyr Region once held, the people of the Tyr Region once lived in these lands and were driven north by the decay of Athas as they were pushed forward in this region. The endless sand dunes. I guess it's the first thing we should talk about. And of course, the Scourge of the Sand Dunes. Harumar. Harumar the Sand Scourge is basically a giant monster that sleeps beneath the endless sand dunes. It is a creature that resembles a seven-headed hydra of immense size, whose breath gives rise to sandstorms. And there's a cult of worshippers there that do believe that, as I said, cults that sometimes believe in blood sacrifice. Paramar's cult is particularly a blood sacrifice cult. So, give some blood to it, or earn Paramar's favor, that. But yeah, this is south of Balk, and it's a wasteland that stretches for hundreds or even thousands of miles. The Terroir, nomadic people, are herders that struggle to basically the outskirts of these regions. And they have actually been a threat to people in the Tyr region. They've gathered hordes to strike at Baltic, Kendawe, or Tyr, but it has been generations since they've had a great leader that would lead them. And they tell stories that they were part of ancient kingdoms buried beneath the vast Dune Sea. And the homelands of their scattered ancestors. Though if you would try to invade some of their holy places, they would not take that conquest. Arkor, a seaport, basically separating out from the southern wastes. Some silt on the shores. It's very remote. A few treasure hunters have managed to get there and go over it, but not many. It's very hard to get, very dangerous to get to. So not many people will push this far as a treasure hunt, even if the treasure would be great. A time-worn fortress of forgotten order of knights that sits atop a high point of the settlement, overlooking a dry hall. Sand that drifts covers much of the city, of the seaport, and shifts from place to place over time, exposing portions that were long buried, and throwing others beneath the new dunes. So you never know what buildings, places, will be revealed are. The Blue Shrine. Your average resident of our Athas basically accepts that if gods ever existed in this world, they're long since dead or driven off. Except for the Blue Shrine. The Blue Shrine means something else, suggests something otherwise. An ancient structure that remains untouched by the hands of time. A white marble gleaming in crimson sun. And within this shrine, endless smoking throne rests before an altar. When you sit on the throne, breathe in the smoke, you'll experience a dizzy rush of visions. Enormous, shining warriors battling beasts of living rock. And armies of priests kneeling in obstinance. The smell of incense, the sound of ancient hymns rising to the sky. What does it all mean? Celik, a great city of the Green Age, a ruin. But not deserted. The city has been a meeting place for the nomadic tribes. Drawn because it has wells, shelter with its crumbling walls. Desert traders follow these nomads, setting up seasonal posts. Escaped slaves, outcasts, criminals, others seeking refuges have found their way to Celik. Sometimes the rooms have fallen empty, but only then people will return to the outskirts of the city. Monsters can plague the ruins. Bands of Askalors, Gith, a few hungry Gosh, hunting the old sister below the seas. But always people return to Celik. The nomads return. Traders. Currently, a human trader named Corsu controls the city. Head of House Mersith, a merchant house trading in Tyr, Altup, and Balak. If you want to set up shop in Celik, explore the ruins, you have to buy a license in Corsu. And you could always become a indentured trader to him if you can't pay. The Great Salt Flat. On our map we had before, the big white spot. Between the eastern borders of the endless sand dunes and sea silt is a salt flat larger than the Great Ivory Plains. The Great Salt Flat. A water's expanse hundreds of miles across has no shelter. In some places, chest-high ridges of salt encrusting form natural mazes, blocking all but the most nimble pack beasts and forcing traders to scramble across the tops of ridges. The flat is nearly impassable obstacle between the islets of the Silk Archipelago and more settled regions of the estuary of Port Town. It's a danger. There's the Mud Palace. In a corner of the Tyr Region, basically right around the border, is the Mud Palace. Middle of a big mud flat. It's a citadel that's of white marble that appears to have no windows or doors on its lower floors. From the tower pours cold, fresh water, and it's irrigated the mud flat for years, maybe even centuries. Nomads who pass by say the palace is home to some powerful sorcerer who commanded genies or demons and built it for them. As their story goes, keeping negative their payment, the otherworldly entities basically entombed him in the structure. It is likely that there is some kind of gate or portal that provides this place with its bottomless fountain of water. But no one really goes there to collect water. The place is teeming with horrible monsters and, probably terrible ruins. But if you somehow can get in there, if you really need some fresh water, you could, past monsters and horrible curses. And finally, we will talk about that black area we saw. Dead. Many days south of the water. The great plain of broken black obsidian interrupts the monotony of the endless sands. The obsidian differs throughout the plain. It can be smooth and glassy, low and razor-edged, or shattered in jagged chunks of 20 to 30 feet. Here and there, bare hillocks rise above the obsidian waves, crowned by clumps of hardy bushes and small trees, or half-buried remnants of city walls, jutting out of the glistening glass like bones of creatures that died in tar. Basically going to cleansing. A terrible battle fought here on the plain between a defiler of awesome powers. Basically broke the world's skin and flooded this area with molten black glass, destroying whole armies with one dreadful ritual. No food, little water, no shelter to speak of. The Deadlands is perhaps one of the worst regions in Athas. So, out in the endless sand dunes, you can still find stuff. Here you can't. The sun's heat on the black ground can kill a traveler in hours. And at night, armies slain here rise as undead, driven to reenact their battles. And near the center of it stands Obsidian Citadel, built from rock cut from the ground by hordes of skeletons and zombies under the command of a mighty undead. So, not only did the undead prowl the area at night, some undead lord of some kind has made a basically citadel out of a bunch of the obsidian in the center of this place and declared it their home. So, making it even more threatening and horrible and dead. But, there you go, there's the southern wastes. There's a lot to it because it is just a wasteland. Yeah, there's some different areas, the Salt Flat, the Deadlands, some small areas you can visit, certainly places on its border, Celik. But the deeper you go into the endless sand dunes, the farther you go away from the Tyr Region, or Table, all those places. Deadlier because you have to have the supplies there. And foraging there for the little supplies there are very good. Can you and your group survive from oasis to oasis? Can you find your way in a place that has very little creatures? Predators far few between, because most of them have to be incredibly hardy. And be ready to go perhaps time and time between meals and finding the other strange hardy creatures that live out here. Little food, little water, little shelter. The wastes are just that. The endless sand dunes represent it very heavily. And yes, there are worse places, just by a little. But you may never find your way through them, or find anyone. Find a new place, find a specific ruin. Who knows? It just goes to show it's another border that the region that we know of, the Athas region, the Tyr region, in Dark Sun, could be alone. Might just be alone. But that'll be it for you. I hope you did enjoy. Remember to check out all my other stuff, whether it's over on Twitch or YouTube. Any kind of schedule, updates, or information is on my social media. Make sure to check those out. My Discord, link below. Of course, with also my Blue Sky, Twitch, Twitter/X, And, of course, the YouTube community page also does provide some information. Go check those out. Check out the live plays I've done of TTRPGs, all archived now. When I start new ones, I'll let you know. And, of course, discussing tabletop. We'll talk about news of the week, updates in the tabletop world, all kinds of interesting topics in the tabletop to help you be a better player. And alright, everybody. Please remember, do the things like, subscribe, ring the bell. Let me know what you think of the Southern Wastes, or would you ever want to try to explore that, even after everything we've talked about over the course of my videos from practice. It's a pretty deadly place, even as much as we've had deadly places in the Desert's World suck. But anyway, until the next time, I bid all of you out there a deep and wonderful farewell.